Across the Orion cluster, Princess Seraphina was known for one thing. She had rejected every royal proposal in the galaxy. Kings offered her entire planets. Princes promised endless riches. Great warriors challenged each other for the chance to marry her. She refused every one of them. Some called her arrogant. Others believed she was waiting for the perfect king. The truth was known only to her. As a child, she had watched ambitious rulers start wars simply to gain power. She swore she would never marry a man who wanted a throne more than peace. Years passed. The pressure grew stronger. One morning, Emperor Kale summoned his daughter to the Grand Council. "The council has made its decision," he said. "You must choose a husband before the next galactic summit." Seraphina stood silently. "I will not marry for politics." "You no longer have a choice." The council had a list. 24 names. Every one of them belonged to the most powerful royal families in the galaxy. Then an old ambassador entered the hall carrying another file. "There is one more candidate." The nobles laughed. "A commoner?" The ambassador shook his head. "No. A human." The entire chamber erupted into whispers. "A human? They're not even members of the Royal Alliance. What kind of joke is this?" The emperor frowned. "Why is a human on this list?" The ambassador answered quietly. "Because every prince asked for your daughter. The human asked for nothing." Silence filled the hall. Seraphina looked at the file. There was only one photograph. A man in a simple black flight jacket. No medals. No crown. No royal title. Only one line beneath his picture. "Captain Ethan Ward, Rescue Pilot, Earth Relief Fleet." She frowned. "He's not a soldier." "No. He rescues civilians." The council laughed again. "A rescue pilot? Is that humanity's best?" Seraphina closed the file. "I'll meet him." The nobles smiled. They were certain she would reject him within minutes. They had no idea that one quiet human would change the future of two civilizations forever. Princess Seraphina expected Captain Ethan Ward to be arrogant. She had met famous generals, royal princes, legendary warriors. Every one of them had spent their first meeting trying to impress her. But Ethan didn't. When he entered the palace garden, he simply smiled. "Your Highness." She nodded politely. "You know who I am?" "I do. And you're not nervous?" He chuckled. "I rescue people trapped inside burning ships. I think I've learned how to stay calm. For the first time in years." Seraphina smiled. It was only for a second. But Ethan noticed. Over the next 2 days, the princess secretly asked the palace staff about him. What she discovered surprised her. He owned no palace. No private fleet. No fortune. Every reward he had ever received, he had donated to families who had lost loved ones in war. He spent his free time flying humanitarian missions to forgotten colonies. To Ethan, saving one child mattered more than winning 10 battles. Seraphina couldn't understand him. Why would anyone choose that life? Meanwhile, far beyond the Empire's borders, a ruthless pirate warlord named Drax Vorn received disturbing news. The princess is considering a human. Drax slammed his fist onto the table. Impossible. If she marries him, our plan to control the Empire dies. For years, Drax had secretly funded conflicts across the galaxy. His fortune depended on endless war. Peace would destroy everything he had built. There will be no wedding. The next morning, Princess Serafina insisted on visiting one of the Empire's civilian hospitals. She wanted Ethan to accompany her. As they walked through the medical center, children surrounded the human captain. "Captain Ethan. You came back." Doctors smiled. Nurses greeted him like family. Serafina looked confused. "They all know you." Ethan knelt beside a little alien girl whose mechanical leg had broken. "I promised I'd visit." He carefully repaired the damaged joint with a small toolkit he carried in his bag. The little girl hugged him tightly. "Thank you." Serafina watched in silence. No cameras. No reporters. No applause. He wasn't doing it for attention. This was simply who he was. For the first time, she questioned everything she had ever believed about humans. Suddenly, every light inside the hospital went dark. Emergency alarms echoed through the building. Warning! Unknown ships entering orbit. Outside, explosions lit up the sky. Drax Vorn's pirate fleet had arrived. The hospital shook violently. Windows shattered. People screamed. Doctors rushed to protect their patients. One terrified officer ran toward the princess. "Your Highness. We must evacuate immediately." Serafina looked toward the children's ward. "There are still hundreds inside. The building could collapse." Before anyone could react, Ethan grabbed an emergency medical bag. "You take the princess. I'm going back." The officer stared at him. "Are you insane? The upper floors are on fire." Ethan looked toward the smoke-filled hallway. "If there's even one child still inside, I'm not leaving." Without waiting for permission, he ran straight into the flames. Princess Serafina stood frozen. Every royal guard hesitated. But the human didn't. Minutes felt like hours. The fire spread rapidly. Then, the entrance doors burst open. Ethan stumbled out carrying two frightened children. Behind him, an elderly doctor. Then another child. Then another. Again. And again. Ignoring the burns on his arms, he refused to stop. By the time firefighters gained control of the blaze, Captain Ethan Ward had rescued 43 civilians. He collapsed from exhaustion. As medics surrounded him, Serafina quietly knelt beside him. "Why? You don't even know these people." Ethan looked at the frightened children surrounding them. Then he smiled. "I don't have to know someone to know they're worth saving." Tears filled Serafina's eyes. In that single moment, every prince she had ever rejected became meaningless. Because none of them had shown the courage that one ordinary human had shown without asking for anything in return. But hidden on a nearby rooftop, Drax Vorn watched through a sniper scope. His voice was cold. "So, the human survives." He slowly loaded another energy round. "Then next time, I'll make sure neither of them does." The palace was surrounded. Drax Vorn's pirate fleet had broken through the Empire's outer defenses. Smoke rose above the capital. Emergency sirens echoed across the city. Inside the Royal Medical Center, Captain Ethan Ward slowly regained consciousness. His arms were covered in burns. His breathing was heavy. Princess Serafina sat quietly beside his bed. "You should have died in that fire." Ethan smiled weakly. "But I didn't." She looked at him for a long moment. "Why are humans like this? You risk your lives for strangers." Ethan looked out the window at the burning skyline. "My mother used to tell me something. The strongest person isn't the one who can destroy a city. It's the one who can save a single life." Before Serafina could answer, the hospital doors burst open. A royal commander rushed inside. "Your Highness. Drax Vorn has issued an ultimatum. He'll spare the capital if you surrender yourself." The room fell silent. The Emperor refused immediately. Never. But everyone knew the truth. If Serafina refused, millions of innocent civilians would die. That night, while the palace slept, Serafina quietly left her room. She wore a simple cloak. No guards. No crown. She intended to surrender herself. If my life can save millions, then it's a price worth paying. As she reached the palace gates, a familiar voice stopped her. "I knew you'd try this." She turned. Ethan stood there. Still injured. Still wearing hospital bandages. "You shouldn't even be walking," she whispered. He smiled. "And you shouldn't be walking into a trap." She lowered her eyes. "I have no choice." Ethan gently shook his head. "There's always another choice." An hour later, a lone shuttle landed outside Drax Vorn's flagship. The pirate leader smiled. "So, the princess came after all." The shuttle door opened. A hooded figure stepped forward. Drax laughed. "I knew your empire would break." Suddenly, the figure removed the hood. It wasn't Serafina. It was Ethan. "You." Drax growled. "Where is the princess?" Ethan calmly replied. "Somewhere you'll never reach." Enraged, Drax ordered every weapon to fire. But he had overlooked one detail. While everyone had focused on Ethan, Princess Serafina had secretly united every royal house in the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, former enemies fought side by side. Hundreds of fleets emerged from hyperspace. The stars themselves seemed to ignite. Drax stared in disbelief. "No. This isn't possible." The combined fleets surrounded the pirates. Escape routes vanished. One by one, pirate ships surrendered. Others fled into deep space. Within minutes, the war was over. Not because of one giant weapon. Not because of one unbeatable army. But because one human believed that courage could inspire an entire galaxy. Back on the capital world, the people celebrated for 3 days. The Emperor stood before the Galactic Council. He looked at Ethan. "You own no kingdom. No fortune. No title. And yet, you've accomplished what kings could not." The entire council rose to its feet. For the first time in galactic history, every representative gave a standing ovation to a human. Then the Emperor turned to his daughter. "The choice is yours. No politics. No pressure. Only your heart." Serafina walked toward Ethan. She smiled. "When I first saw your picture, I thought you were just an ordinary rescue pilot." Ethan laughed softly. "I still am." She shook her head. "No. You're the man who taught an entire galaxy. That true strength isn't measured by the wars we win. It's measured by the lives we choose to save." She reached for his hand. "Captain Ethan Ward. I refused every prince in the galaxy. But today, I choose you." Ethan gently held her hand. "I was never looking for a princess. I was only hoping to find someone who believed peace was worth fighting for." Months later, the wedding took place beneath the twin moons of the imperial capital. There were no political speeches. No military parade. Only families. Children. Music. And hope. Years later, history books no longer remembered Ethan as merely a rescue pilot. They remembered him as the human who proved that compassion could unite a galaxy that power never could. And whenever young princes asked Princess Seraphina why she had rejected the richest and strongest rulers in the universe, she would simply smile and answer, "Because I wasn't searching for the most powerful man. I was searching for the kindest one."